There are some folks who believe that many quarterbacks in this scheme, with you as the coach, with Tyreek and Jaylen, maybe even many quarterbacks, would excel, would flourish, would be near the top of the passer rater leading MVP candidate. What, if any, pushback is there relative to, wait, no, hold on. Tua is a little different.
I'm about to push this podium over.
Ooh. So what do we have here? We have a reporter in the Miami Dolphins press conference, in the Miami Dolphins pool of reporters, asked Mike McDaniel a question, one, that he wasn't prepared for, and two, well, I won't give you the answer. I'll let you get the answer from him. I've told you guys for a long time now, these guys go into the press conference and they don't arm themselves with direct questions that they can get an answer from. They often just go in and do softball questions and then let Mike McDaniel get up there and pontificate and be quirky and give his answers. Well, today, one reporter stepped out of line as far as asking the normal question and posed a question to Mike McDaniel that he says, when I know is true, a lot of people are asking. A lot of people across the media landscape, have asked, is Tua Tagovailoa the reason for Miami Dolphins' offensive success, or is the offensive scheme the reason for the success, and Tua Tagovailoa just happens to be the quarterback? I'm going to let you listen to Mike McDaniel's answer, and you guys can figure out what the heck he says, and is he ever going to answer that question with a legitimate response? Joe Shad from the Palm Beach Post is the guy who asked this question. Let's jump in right now and take a look at this.
There are some folks who believe that many quarterbacks in this scheme, with you as the coach, with Tyreek and Jaylen, maybe even many quarterbacks, would excel, would flourish, would be near the top of the passer rater leading MVP candidate. What?
So just in case you can't hear because reporter room is terrible for acoustics, Joe Shad asked, many people are wondering, could basically you put any quarterback in this system and they would excel and possibly be an MVP candidate? Here's Mike's response.
If any pushback is there relative to, wait, no, hold on. Tua is a little different.
I'm about to push this podium over.
I'm about to push this podium over. Mike kinda is joking, but you can see in his face, he's kinda serious. He wasn't ready for that question, and he doesn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Doesn't even want to get near the answer to this question. Listen to the rest of his response.
My answer to that would be, who the F cares? Because
obviously, a lot of people care. Who the F cares? There are a lot of people, a lot of sports writers, a lot of sports journalists out there who are wondering, is this a product of the system, or is Tua that good a quarterback? It's being asked a lot. A lot of people say it. They get attacked for even asking that question. Don't dare ask that question on Twitter. Oh my God, that flood of nuts would come after you. But in fact, they went after Joe Shad and called him crazy. You can't even ask that question. You're not even allowed to even intimate that there's a question that Tua may or may not be the left arm of God. Yes, he's having a fantastic season. There's no doubt that he's having a fantastic season. The numbers are way up. But is it because of your scheme, or is it because of his skill? Let Mike continue with this.
It is a team. We're working together, and I know one thing. I've coached stuff a long time. I haven't seen people do what our guys do, and I mean, in a lot of experiences.
Now remember, the question was about Tua. It wasn't about the team. It wasn't about the wide receiver. The question was, is Tua plug and play, or is he that good? That's basically what the question was. Is your scheme making Tua good, or is Tua good? That's basically the question. Mike's talking about the team.
To their credit, to their ability and their commitment, to their craft. Like, I know we're as a teammate.
Why is he struggling with this? Mike is an extremely articulate man. He is never short with words. Mike McDaniel is crisp, he's intelligent, he's articulate, and he's fumbling through this question badly.
We're all dependent on each other, and I'm not in any hurry to prove myself without those guys, because
nobody asked you that. This is classic deflection. This is the same stuff you see in political circles. I asked you, is the sky blue or not? And you're like, well, it depends on which day the sun is shining, and if I'm taking a walk and the wind's at my back. Come on, Mike, answer the question.
Those are part of who we are, and to try to say it's this person or that person is kind of missing the point. It is a team working together, people working together, and myself, Tyreek Hill, Tua, cool. What if no one's blocking anyone?
He didn't ask you that. I have been in press conferences. I know how to ask questions. I've been in courtrooms. I know how to ask questions to get people to give you the answer. At this point, if this was in a court of law, the attorney would have said, "See, objection. Can you answer the question?" The question in front of you isn't who's blocking, isn't about Tyreek catching passes, isn't about how you feel. The question, Mr. McDaniel, is Tua the reason for the team's success, or is the team success because of your scheme? That's all we need to know.
I mean, like, we're all connected in that way. That's why I think a lot of the guys, Tua's success is their success, Tyreek's success, Waddle's, Raheem's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're all tied to
Raheem Mostert, the guy that you hand the ball off to. That's who you've brought into this answer of this question at this point. The guy who, he goes out for short passes, but he basically gets the ball handed off to him. I don't think Joe Shad asked him about Raheem Mostert.
Together, it's a journey that we're experiencing together. Somebody will get the statistics from it, but none of those statistics are worth anything.
Now there's something. We hear so many people on Twitter and X always complaining about statistics. Throw for 400 yards, 500 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 12 yards per carry, 8.1 yards per attempt. And Mike McDaniel just said they don't mean anything. How many people's head exploded when he just went, nah, they really don't mean anything because it's about the collective. I feel like I'm watching a communist speaker. I feel like I'm in the middle of one of Hillary's campaign speeches. We're all in this together.
If you don't have a full support from your players across the board, all 11, and then it goes down to the organization, and all those things combined. But I know this, our players run a lot of plays that I have a lot of history with, and it looks different. And that's not because, that's because of hard-earned work, or hard work and unbelievable ability. So, don't try me on other players. I'm not trying to prove that.
Don't try me on other players. I'm not trying to prove that. Okay. At the end there, I would have said, can I have a follow-up question? Yes, go ahead, Joe. You can have a follow-up question. That follow-up question is, hey, Mike, can you answer my question? Is it the scheme or is it the quarterback? That's all I want to know. I don't want to hear about Raheem. Don't want to hear about Tyreek. Don't want to hear about the guys blocking. Don't want to hear about Stephen Ross and the organization. That has nothing to do with the question I just asked you. The question I just asked you specifically was, is this quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, the reason for the team's success, or is the scheme the reason for Tua's success? in addition to Mike McDaniel not answering the question, it was like it just went off into the ether. None, I do mean none of the Miami Dolphins YouTubers even mentioned it. There were a couple of reporters that kind of like mentioned it in terms of a tweet. Let me show you one. This is from, what's this guy's name? Daniel Oifusi. Now read what he wrote here. You just heard Mike McDaniel. He said McDaniel is asked what he says to people who think any quarterback can play on this team and have similar success as Tua Tagovailoa. Who the F cares? We're a team and we're working together. Part of a lengthy response. That's what he said. They didn't even give you the rest. Have you noticed that 99% of the reporters who go to these press conferences don't do any videos? They never show you the recordings? There's a few out there. Omar Kelly, he'll take a tape, but they cut it just before or after something gets said. This guy just says, oh, I was amazed. He goes, who F cares? We're a team, we're working together, part of a lengthy response, and completely ignores it, just puts it out there. They don't want to touch it. I don't get it, but I understand it. You can't lose that golden ticket to the press conference room. Doesn't make any sense, but nonetheless, that's what happens. And we didn't get an answer. And I'm not going to answer it because I'm going to leave that up to you. You guys in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. Is it because of the quarterback or because of the scheme? I'm not going to answer. I'd love to hear what you guys say. Once I hear what you guys say in the comments, I'm probably going to go ahead and make a video talking about what people and how you guys responded and what the fans think at this point. Because obviously the head coach of the Miami Dolphins isn't touching that question with a 10-foot pole. He's not getting near it. Why is he not getting near it? I don't know. That alone is another question. Why would Mike McDaniel not answer that question? Would it upset chemistry? Whose chemistry? Tyreek doesn't care, just give me the ball. Raheem Mostert doesn't care, just hand it off. The offensive line, we're going to block no matter who's out there. Every wide receiver, every man does their job. That's what the collective is. Every man does their job. It's not going to, why would it upset some people if you said, hey, no, absolutely 100% positive underscore end of story. Tua Tagovailoa is the reason for this team's success. That would have been it. That would have been it. You would have completely ended any speculation in the media. It would have been over. I mean, basically people would have been, but you didn't. You didn't. You dodged. You obfuscated. You went, you started talking about different things. You couldn't look the guy in the eye. You looked down, you looked up, you looked to the side. You said you wanted to push the podium over because he asked you that question. Tell me why you wouldn't answer it. It's very simple. Who would get upset? I wouldn't care. Would you care? Like he said, nobody effing cares. If nobody effing cares, then it shouldn't be a problem to answer it. It shouldn't cause any distress, couldn't cause any lack of chemistry, couldn't cause any kind of problem in the locker room if you just answered that question. The media would have to shut up. At that point, the media could never bring it up again. Colin Cowherd can't rank Tua number 10. That would never work. Stephen A. Smith could never say that Tua only throws 2-yard passes, then Tyreek takes it the rest of the way. That's what people are saying. I know you don't care, but you do. We know you do. I know the fans care because I see them screaming on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I see them losing their minds every time somebody says something critical about Tua Tagovailoa. So I'm just going to ask you. I'd love to see your response. Since Mike couldn't answer it or wouldn't answer it, and I'm not going to answer it for you, I want to get some engagement going and talk to you people who are fans of the team. So I don't want to hear any other excuses in the comments. I would just love to hear your answer. Here's the question once again. Is Tua Tagovailoa the reason for the offensive success on this team? Or is Mike McDaniel's unbelievably innovative scheme the reason for Tua's success? Let me know in the comments. Pretty straightforward question. I didn't say anything negative about Tua. I'm asking you a very, very specific question that Mike McDaniel was given today. He couldn't answer it. He wouldn't answer it. Will you? Let me know. Fins up.
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?